in Mangalore. India today visits the Lingayat stronghold of Kalburgi after Chief Minister Siddaramaia's recommendation for separate religion status. The head of the Lingayat Mutt welcomes the move. Rival Veera Shaivas against breaking away from Hinduism. 4 terrorists are killed after security forces respond to an attack on an army convoy in Jammu and Kashmir's Kupwara. State police and paramilitary CRPF joined the army in the ongoing anti-terror operation. Indian Air Force Hawk aircraft crashes near Jharkhand-Odisha border during a routine training sortie. Pilot ejects safely. The Air Force begins a probe. British MPs summon Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg over the scandal involving London-based Cambridge Analytica. The firm is accused of siphoning data of 50 million Facebook users for political analysis, including the US elections. The former French President Nicolas Sarkozy questioned in custody over allegations he received millions of euros in illegal election campaign funding from late Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi. But first tonight, our top story. Almost 4 years after 39 Indians were abducted by the Islamic State in Iraq's Mosul, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj told Parliament today that all of them were killed. The families, in some instances, were informed only after the minister had told Parliament. Here's our top story tonight on a tragic story of 39 Indians who were missing for 4 years, are finally now dead.
आज मैं अपनी वही वचन पूर्ति करने के लिए आई हूं। आज मेरे पास दोनों बातों के पक्के सबूत हैं। पहला कि हरजीत मसीह की कहानी सच्ची नहीं थी, और दूसरा भारी मन से कह रही हूं वो लोग मार दिए गए हैं।
Tragic end to a 4-year-long wait. Hopes of many families dashed. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj on Monday confirmed the 39 Indians who went missing in Mosul in 2014 are no more. They were kidnapped and then massacred by ISIS terrorists.
जो हमने बॉडीज इस माउंट में से एक्सह्यूम करा के भेजी थी, उसका उन्होंने डीएनए टेस्ट करना शुरू किया। उसके बाद एक डीएनए होता चला गया। राजदूत खबर देते रहे, आज 5 हो गए हैं, आज 8 हो गए हैं, आज 10 हो गए हैं, लेकिन कल उन्होंने हमें खबर दी कि 38 लोगों का डीएनए मैच हो गया है।
It was in June 2014 that 40 Indians were kidnapped by ISIS. In May next year, a man named Harjeet Masih managed to escape and claimed that others had been killed.
ਹੁਣ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਕਹੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ 39 ਭਾਈ ਮਾਰ ਦੇਗੇ, ਕੋਈ ਸੁਸ਼ਮਾ ਸਵਰਾਜ ਜੀ ਹੁਣ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ 39 ਜਿਹੜੇ ਭਾਰਤੀ ਮਾਰੇ ਗਏ ਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਫਿਰ ਅੱਗੇ ਮੈਂ ਸੱਚ ਬੋਲਾਂ, ਮੈਂ ਸੱਚ ਬੋਲਣ ਦੀ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਮਿਲੀ ਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ 6 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਮੈਂ ਜੇਲ੍ਹ ਕੱਟੀ ਕਿਹਦੀ ਗੱਲੋਂ। ਫਿਰ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਹਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਗੁੰਮਰਾਹ ਕੀਤਾ ਵਾ, ਜਿਹੜੇ 39 ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਗੁੰਮਰਾਹ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ।
The Modi government refuted the claim and in July 2017 insisted that the 39 Indians were in Badush prison in Iraq. It was then that India today set out in pursuit of the missing Indians.
This is Badush prison. This is where, according to the intelligence India's External Affairs Minister has received, the 39 abducted Indians could possibly be. But that information is clearly absolutely incorrect, because this building, we're being told, was destroyed by ISIS itself.
While Sushma Swaraj managed to speak in Rajya Sabha, she was completely drowned out by sloganeering in Lok Sabha.
No, I'm sorry. इतने भी संवेदनहीन मत बनो, इतने भी संवेदनहीन मत बनो, इस तरीके की राजनीति मत करो, प्लीज, that will spoil all of us. No.
The opposition cornered the Modi government, accusing it of misleading the nation for so long.
As the opposition continued to create ruckus and disrupt proceedings in the Lok Sabha on Tuesday, Sushma Swaraj was unable to make her statement on the Mosul tragedy on the floor of the House. But having heard her earlier in the Rajya Sabha, the opposition was absolutely clear. that this government had misled the nation and the families of the deceased in Iraq, that they knew all along that they were no more, but for the last 4 years they continued to build false hopes.
39 Indians butchered by ISIS as their families struggle to come to terms with the loss. Humanity seems to have been lost to political blame game. With Paulami Saha, Meetu Jain, Mausami Singh and Jitendra Bahadur in Delhi and Anchal Vora in Mosul, Bureau Report, India Today.
The news of the 39 Indians massacred in Mosul has come as a massive shock to the families of those who were killed in Iraq. India Today met and spoke with the families of the victims, many of them from Punjab, many of them from poor families. While some expressed anger at the government over delaying the news, some remain in a state of utter shock, refusing to believe the news of the death of their loved ones for whom they've been waiting for 4 long years. Here's a report.
Their last hope to unite with their loved ones has also faded. A tragic end to a long wait of 4 years. 39 missing Indians in Mosul, Iraq, confirmed dead by the government. A news which has shattered these families, plunging them into deep grief. Sister of Manjinder Singh, one of the slain Indians, has appealed Sushma Swaraj to present proof of her brother's death.
तो अब भी वो मुझे बताएं सारा डिटेल में, then only I can believe कि हाँ अगर मुझे कोई सबूत दिखा दें वो.
Gobinder Singh's family from Kapurthala in Punjab is in shock after the news of his death reached his hometown. He had left for Mosul to earn livelihood.
ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਤਾਂ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਚਾਹਾਂਗੇ ਸੁਸ਼ਮਾ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਤੋਂ ਬੁਲਾਰੇ ਇੰਨੇ ਲਾਈ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਸ ਦਿਨ ਤੋਂ ਦੱਸ ਦਿੰਦੀ 4 ਸਾਲ ਬਾਅਦ ਜੋ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਵਾਬ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਇਹਦੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਡੈਡ ਬੋਡੀ ਜਲਦੀ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਵੇ ਮੈਡਮ ਹੋਰ ਕੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਭਾਜੀ 4 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਵੇਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਆ ਜਾਣਗੇ.
After the agonizing wait, many family members are bitter and accuse the government of keeping them in the dark all along.
ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਅਜੇ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਯਕੀਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਅਜੇ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਵੀ ਬੱਚੇ ਠੀਕ ਠਾਕ ਹੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਾ ਅਜੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਵੀ ਕੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਜੇ ਕੀ ਨਹੀਂ.
Harjeet Masi, reportedly the lone survivor from ISIS clutches, who Sushma called a liar, shudders remembering the horrifying plight in Iraq.
ਹੁਣ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਇਹੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਵੀ 39 ਭਾਈ ਮਾਰ ਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਸੁਸ਼ਮਾ ਸਵਰਾਜ ਹੀ ਹੁਣ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ 39 ਜਿਹੜੇ ਭਾਰਤੀ ਮਾਰੇ ਗਏ ਆ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਫਿਰ ਅੱਗੇ ਮੈਂ ਸੱਚ ਬੋਲਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਸੱਚ ਬੋਲਣ ਦੀ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਮਿਲੀ ਆ.
Apart from Punjab, many workers were from Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and Himachal. The families now await the exhumed bodies to come home, knowing well that their lives will never again be the same. Bureau Report, India Today.
Tragic images there, and I can tell you that last year in July, India Today was the first channel to go to Mosul and find out at the prison in Bodush and in other places with General V.K. Singh, the minister who had gone there. We had gone to the places where reportedly the Indians were missing and found there was no trace of them. It is that move of India Today that sparked off this government move to try and find out what exactly had happened to the missing Indians. The questions I want to then raise tonight. Did the Narendra Modi government mislead the families of the missing Indians? Why weren't the families informed first about their deaths before even Parliament was informed? Was the government and the opposition insensitive in dealing with the tragedy today by allowing Lok Sabha to be disrupted? Is there any truth in the one survivor, Harjeet Masi's account of the killings, who was once described as a liar by Sushma Swaraj? Some of the questions we will raise tonight. Pratap Singh Bajwa, Member of Parliament of the Congress, who's been repeatedly raising this issue in and outside Parliament. Narendra Taneja is the spokesperson BJP. Wail Awad, senior journalist who's tracked the area for years. Kawal Sibal, former Foreign Secretary, with us. But I want to come to you, Mr. Bajwa, first today, because you've been raising this issue for a very long time. But today, is it fair for you to say that Sushma Swaraj has misled Parliament or misled the country, when the fact was the information was extremely scanty? And even today, when condolence should have been paid, the Lok Sabha was disrupting Parliament. So how can you take the moral high ground and say the government is misleading Parliament, when the fact is it was very difficult to know what had actually happened to them? What if one of the people had been suddenly found to have survived? Who would have then been held responsible? Today you are saying Sushma Swaraj has misled the country. But unless she had 100% proof of the deaths, what could she do, ma'am?
See, Rajdeep, I want to put the things in the correct perspective. On the 17th of July last year, I had put in a 0-hour met over there. So I asked, before the India Today. Before the India, what happened exactly was, till date, almost these Punjab people, there were around 34 families from Punjab who were consistently meeting the External Affairs Minister with various leaders and political parties. And every single time she said, you need not worry, your people are safe, we have complete statements of theirs. And she said, I have 5 or 6 very authentic sources. So what happened, exactly how it happened, that the Iraqi Prime Minister, he once made a statement that the city of Mosul has fallen into the hands of the Iraqi and the American forces, and IS is out of there. So that is the time when the government reacted, because before that they had sold this story to the relatives that all these people who have been, you could say, kidnapped are working in a textile mill over there.
But before that they could not even enter Mosul because it was controlled by the ISIS. Between 2014 and 2016, Mosul was controlled by the ISIS. Could the government go there and find out whether the Indians were alive and dead? Are you politicizing a tragedy?
Not at all. Not politicizing. This is exactly what she was telling all these relatives. Then what happened? She sent General V.K. Singh there. General V.K. Singh comes back when the Parliament is in session, and instead of telling, informing the House, outside the Parliament he makes a statement that these people have now been shifted by the ISIS to a place by the name of Butruk, which is around 30 kilometers from there. He had just made this statement, and I had put in this zero matter there. Your India Today team went there. It was, the Parliament session was on, my 0-hour issue had already cropped up, and I had told Sushma Swaraj that you are taking the nation and the Parliament for a ride. You are misleading the Parliament and the nation. Why have you been saying this? So
what are you saying, that Sushma Swaraj knew a year ago that the people were dead?
She exactly knew.
She knew they were dead or suspected they were dead?
Suspected.
So do you expect her to tell the families that I fear that they are dead?
No. You need not tell that. But the thing is, why are you every single... See, what I asked her in Parliament was, okay, ma'am, you have been saying, don't believe in the only eyewitness that we have, that is Harjeet Masi of Gurdaspur. This is the guy who ran away from there and said 39 Indian hostages have been shot before by IS. How do you have just one person who is an eyewitness? You don't want to believe in him. Today she has given a statement, she is believing in the owner of the Iraqi company. She is willing to believe an Iraqi person, she is not willing to believe an Indian national. And then I want to ask you one thing, Rajdeep. If this man was not reliable, why did the Indian government keep Harjeet Masi under protective custody for 6 months? Why did General V.K. Singh tell him, we will give you a government job, you please keep your mouth shut? And it is exactly when he did not keep his mouth shut, he was put in Punjab prison when the Akalis and the BJP government was there for 6 months.
You know, I want to come to Harjeet Masi before I come to you, Narendra Taneja, because here was someone who was an eyewitness or claimed to be an eyewitness to what he said was the killing of these 39 Indians in 2014 itself. Listening to what he said when I asked him this question today, Were you, Mr. Masih, a witness to the killings of the 39 Indians in Mosul? क्या आईसिस ने भारतीयों को आपके आंखों के सामने मारा था? अभी भी सुषमा स्वराज कह रही है कि ये गलत है, आप झूठ बोल रहे हैं. क्या कहेंगे आज आप सुषमा स्वराज को?
जी मैम 3 साल तो मैं यही कहता आना कि यही मेरे नाल होया ही ते ਉਹੀ मैं कहता ते ਹੁਣ भी मैं ਉਹੀ ਕਹਿਣ ਡਿਆ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ सब कुछ होया ही ਤੇ ਉਹੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣ ਡਿਆ ਮੈਂ.
You know, Narendra Taneja, this is where the government appears to have in some way misled the nation. Because you have an eyewitness who was present there or claims to have been present there and said in 2014 itself that these Indians had been killed. Instead of believing him, you took him into custody and prevented his version from being told to the nation. Why didn't you believe Harjeet Masih 4 years ago? 4 years these families were kept in the dark. To that extent, Sushma Swaraj and your government will have to answer. Why did you repeatedly say this man is a liar?
Rajdeep, you should give me as much time as you are given to the Congress spokesperson, please. You see, first of all, our sincere condolences to the families of the victims, sincere condolences. And one thing is clear, we heard Mr. Sindhia Lok Sabha, we just heard the Congress spokesperson, they have no interest in the real issue. They are only interested in politicizing the issue. Mr. Baweja probably for the reasons he knows best. I don't want to really spend much time on that. The question is, there is a difference between an individual or a politician or a spokesperson in Punjab for whatever reasons and the government of India. We government will go only by the evidence. What we have been trying to do, we have been in touch with NSA of Iraq. When NSA of Iraq is giving me certain information, we sent in a special envoy there who camped there for some time. At the same time, we were talking with other people, including, some agencies, some NGOs also, including Red Crescent, and the kind of evidence that they were providing us. So we could not declare our own people there, dead without any evidence.
Why was Harjeet Masih called a liar? I take your point. I take your point that it is not easy to declare someone dead unless you get an official confirmation. Having said that, why did you treat Harjeet Masih as some kind of a liar and put him in protective custody? The suspicion is there were elections coming up in Punjab and you didn't want this issue to blow up before the elections of 2016.
No, the question is that, Rajdeep, if you think that we are so stupid that, we will play with the lives of 39 people for the elections in Punjab, you think that was a big issue in Punjab? I mean, if you really think that was the issue, then I think, okay, there's no point even discussing it. Here we are talking about, since we came to power, our government has been taking care of every single Indian between North Pole and South Pole. If the government has the information, we have been reaching out and helping the people there, including the nurses who were there in Tirkut, and we helped them to be rescued. Plus every single person, as I said, between North Pole, that has been the approach of the government. If some people want us to believe or want to sell this thing that was for political reasons because of election in Punjab, I all want to say I sympathize with such people because such people are absolutely illiterate in terms of politics. So I don't want to really spend my energy further on that. The point is, being the government, we were in touch with the government in Iraq, and government of Iraq was collaborating, very helpful. And we did our level best. We went about the whole thing in the most scientific manner, unless and until we have full evidence. And even there, we went very systematically. All the 4 state concerns, they have been providing with the DNA samples. We have been carrying these DNA samples to Iraq, in touch with the government, and the test was being done.
Okay.
When we were absolutely sure, only then we accepted, unfortunately, this, and that's the way the government functions. Mr. Baweja and all that, I don't want to spend my time and energy on such people because they have absolutely no sympathy with the people who have lost their life. They only want to play the petty politics, and I don't want to spend my time on such people.
Okay, I will give you one word here, Mr. Bajwa, before I widen it. The fact is that there seems to be a singular lack of empathy in the way this entire thing has played out, on both sides. Today also, the information was first given to Parliament. Parliament was disrupted, Lok Sabha was disrupted. Instead of doing a proper condolence, the families some of them have still not been informed.
Why did they not inform?
No. Would you have been okay if the families were informed first before Parliament? Then you would have said they were breaking protocol. My point is,
no.
You should have not disrupted
No,
Parliament.
Rajdeep, one thing is for sure. If only on policy matters, If the parliament is in session, only then the statement has to be made in the parliament, not on these matters. The family should have at least somebody from the MEA should have in the morning gone and informed every single person. It is through the television channels that the poor families, the hapless families came to know of it.
Sir,
General
V.K. Singh went on more than one occasion to Iraq. He went twice last year. What more were they expected to do? All the DNA samples were sent to Iraq. To that extent, the government made its full effort.
Rajdeep, another thing, I had that time suggested when I spoke to Mrs. Sushma Swaraj, why don't you send all party delegation there? Let them visit Mosul, let them visit Budrush. See, your own channel went there. This government said those hapless guys have been taken by the IS from Mosul to Budrush. And your TV channel said the whole the jail that they were mentioning has been demolished for the last 3 months. Their life was caught in there. Okay. It is only after that the government started to take things seriously. They knew
Give me 20
at
seconds,
one point of moment they will have to come up with this. So all grounds were being prepared.
Can I for a moment take away from the political
Give me 20 seconds, please.
Very quickly you want to respond, Narendra Taneja. I want to move away from the political tutu-meme. So
20 seconds. Rather 20 seconds. 10 seconds. 10 seconds, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. You see, first of all, MEA would not go and inform. Information is given always to the respective states. They have been involved. They have been helping in collecting DNAs, and respective states were informed. That's how the system functions in India. And Mr. Baweja, he talks as he can talk like that once he becomes the Prime Minister of India. I mean, you are not Mr. Baweja, you are not running the government. You are only politicizing, playing politics.
You are
your
not
petty
Baweja.
ends in this politics of Punjab. That's not how you're going to grow. Please don't politicize
my
it.
name correctly. Just
and you don't understand how system functions.
Can I for a moment, tonight is not a day for tutu memes. I just
whatever your name, I don't care.
To have
because
that word. Mr. Taneja, you had your 10 seconds now. Let's go to the former foreign secretary. Kawal Sibal, where is the truth in your view? Should, for example, at least today, the families have been informed first before Sushma Swaraj went to Parliament? Isn't empathy at some stage even more important than protocol? The Prime Minister breaks protocol at times to visit heads of state at the airport.
And their daughters.
But here, when it comes to the issue of empathy for the families, should they learn from television that their near and dear ones are dead? The army always informs the next of kin first.
That is true.
Well, this is a legitimate question you are posing, but this is not the crux of the problem. In terms of our national security and the foreign policy dimensions of this and the security dimensions of this, there are other questions that we should ask and which are not being asked. Firstly, when were they killed? It's not very clear. Now, there is Masih who says they were killed in 2014, and there have been subsequent information coming from various sources, because government has been in touch with the government of Iraq, NGOs, Gulf countries and others to find out where exactly these people were and whether they're still alive or dead. Now, so it was not very clear, and you couldn't simply rely on the evidence of one person. And I'm also very puzzled how come if they killed 38 and 39 people, he escaped. And the reason he gives is that he was shot in the leg, in the foot, and he managed to escape. To me, prima facie doesn't make sense, because if they killed by shooting people in the head, 39 of them, and he escaped, I think there is a little room for questioning. And I don't know what other reasons were that he was not believed, but clearly there were other inputs coming which made the government feel that they could not simply rely on this man's evidence, and they had to get more concrete proof that these people were no more alive. I think the other question which I find very amazing is that, as you're imputing bad intentions to the government, as if government had something to gain from hiding the truth or to mislead anybody. Well, why should government want to do that? I mean, there were so many massacres in that area. The Islamic State was such a terrible force, and they were inflicting atrocities on so many people. There was no reason for the government to overlook all this and try and deliberately mislead anyone. It's just that they were being responsible and wanted to be 100% sure that actually they had been killed, and they could not be faulted later on for saying something prematurely. The third thing which is totally missed is that why should they have killed Indians? We are not we are not targets in that area. India has good relations with these countries. We are not involved on the ground in any military operation. We have not taken sides in the matter. So it's very disquieting that the Islamic State people killed so many Indians, not one or two, but 39 of them. It's a massacre. And one should take a lesson from this, because the IS ideology is spreading. It's coming close to us in Afghanistan. And if these people have now spread the view that Indians and being Hindu infidels are targets, legitimate targets for the ISI kind of ideology, then we have a problem ahead of us. But we are not focusing on these issues. Instead of that, we are trying to score points against each other for political reasons.
Can I take that to
what you asked me about the protocol part of it, yes, you're right in terms of the humanity part of it.
But Mr. Sibal, let me take the point that you're saying about the troubling question that this arouses for India's policy in the area, in an area which for years India has had strong friendships with Iraq in particular. While Awad, what does that suggest? 39 Indians massacred by the ISIS. It's now confirmed. Does that mean that the ISIS in a sense would have seen these Indian migrant workers as necessarily soft targets? Were they simply caught in the crossfire when Mosul fell? What is your reading of why were these people targeted in the first instance, as Kamal Sibal is asking today?
Well, my heartfelt condolences to the family of the victims, in fact, and I do agree with all what have been said by Mr. Kapil and the two persons in your panels, but I would like to add one point here, very important, that I am 100% sure that those who killed them, they are not Iraqi at all, because I have been in Iraq. I will give you my personal experience when I was also in captivity in Iraq. I've taken into captivity and I was able to escape. You are stripped of everything you had, you are blindfolded and shifted from one place to another. So I think the Scotland Yard and the intelligence have been following me for more than a year and giving me pictures to show me where these people were, the one who kept me in captivity. Did you see those people? And I think I saved the life of many people at that time. And I think it was in your program last year we carried the same story and I said they are dead. I think the government fault here is not, I will not blame it politically that the government did not do its best. I was witness also to their sharing appeal and asking for help from different ministers, the Syrian, the Iraqi, the Jordanian, and I have been asking everybody and they were confirming to me that Mrs. Sushma Swaraj has really personally asked them. My point here is I fail to understand why the witness was kept aside, why the people of the country were not informed about it, why they were not even told to this parent that possibility that they are dead. You know, this is what is heartening. I can know from my family when they were told that we were dead. What they were running funerals at home. We knew it. Everybody knew how it's feeling. I mean, it's heartening, disheartening to see the family crying. These are issues. Why are you mixing a humanitarian issue with the parliament? You are not representing the people of India when you go to them personally and tell them instead of going to the parliament. That is the message should have gone to the people.
Swaraj should have informed the families even a couple of years earlier based on what one eyewitness was saying. What if, God forbid, one survivor was found? What if tomorrow one survivor was found? Until you did the DNA testing, would it?
No, not at all.
Then?
No. Absolutely. I said politically the government is correct on it. I am saying humanitarianly. Imagine yourself working in emergency in an ICU and you get a patient there. The doctor sitting there in that hospital will tell you he is in a critical condition, but I will do my best. That is the message. You have to understand the psyche of the people. These are low-class people, workers. These are families suffering. These are my issues here, not the issue of the government. The government did the 100% job, and I can endorse whatever Mrs. Sushma Swaraj have said today. My whole point only was on a humanitarian basis. This family should have been at least not been misled by any mean, even the media shouldn't have taken it for granted that they are alive. You yourself in your program, we said that they have been dead. You told me this question. I said I cannot say it. I am not the government of India.
Right. You know, it's very easy, of course, for us to say in a television studio that that maybe the government should have informed the families of the likelihood of their death. But let me again go to Mr. Masih, who I had spoken to earlier. Listen into what he said, and then I want Kamal Sibal you to respond to this. Sushma Swaraj said, मसीह साहब कि आप झूठ बोल रहे थे. वो बोल रही थी कि वो भारतीय उस वक्त जिंदा थे। आपने किस विश्वास पर कहा कि वो मर गए थे? उनको आपको कहा गया कि आप झूठे थे।
मैं 3 साल से यही कह के आ रहा हूँ कि वो उन लोगों को मार दिया गया है, तो चलो ठीक है, वो उसी देर का मैं झूठ बोला था, तो अब तो उन लोगों को मारा होगा ना, तो उनकी लाशें लाए फिर।
You know, should Masi's testimony have been taken more seriously, Kawal Sibal, as a diplomat? Do you believe that eyewitness should have been taken a little more seriously than he was? The suspicion is putting him in protective custody, not allowing him access to even his family for a while, was to hide the truth from the nation.
No, you see, Rajdeep, I fail to understand. I really cannot convince myself that government had some ulterior motive in deliberately misleading anybody on an issue like this. What would they gain from this? I think they were acting in a very responsible manner and wanted to be absolutely sure that they had been killed. And Masi, I still can't explain to myself how, if there were 39 people were systematically killed at close range and put in this mass grave, that this man managed to escape.
Okay, listen to his story. I asked him that also.
He has to give an explanation, and the explanation that he was shot in the foot.
Kawal Sibal Saab, listen to it. I asked him this.
It's not persuasive. It's not persuasive.
Okay, I asked him this. आप ISIS से कैसे बच निकले? मसी साहब, आप बताइए कैसे बच? कोई आपकी बात मानने के लिए तैयार नहीं है कि बाकी सब मर गए, आप ही बच गए। आप बताइए आप कैसे वहां से बच गए?
जब उन लोगों को मार दिया मेरी आंखों को सामने, फिर वहां से भागा हूं मैं। फिर हमारे उन लोगों को मारने के बाद दोबारा अतवादी ने पकड़ा मुझे, फिर उनको बोला है मैं।
You know, let's be very clear, Mr. Bajwa, there will be an element of incredulity. When you first get an eyewitness of this kind who has come in and says, I managed to escape, saying my name was Ali, a Bangladeshi, I managed to escape, everyone else was trapped there. As a government person, if you were in government, and the Iraqi government is not confirming whether they were dead or alive, how do I go by Masi's version?
See, what I feel, Rajdeep, it was clumsy handling by the government. They should have fully probed this man's version. I think so. They didn't probe him. They never took him seriously from day one. They should have taken seriously. At the end result is same what Masi is saying. Unfortunately, those youngsters are not with us today. From day one, what he says, how do you disbelieve also? I don't go with the views of Mr. Sibal. There have been miracles. People have run away. He gave another name that I am a Muslim, my name is Ali, I am a Bangladeshi. He got away. These kind of miracles have happened in the past. How can you just, what does he gain out of it? I ask you, Rajdeep. I ask on this panel, what does a poor person, Harjeet Masi, gain out of this? Has he asked for some money? Has he asked for some help from this government?
Kawal Sibal, should that have been better handled? You listen to what Masi said. Should he have been, if you were in his place, foreign secretary, if you were advising the external affairs minister, should Harjeet Masi have been taken a little bit more seriously rather than being called a liar?
Before I answer your question, one short point, which is that have we determined when they died? Because if, as he says, they died in 2014, then the exhumation of these bodies and the tests on that will determine when they died. Now, if they actually died after 2017, when they moved out of Mosul to this particular place where they died, then we'll be able to determine the truth, and we'll be able to then ascertain whether he's telling the truth or not telling the truth. And let me tell you, that having been in government, that government take these matters very seriously. And they're not going to take lightly a decision to disbelieve somebody who says that he's actually an eyewitness, unless there is a serious deficiency in his statements and in what he says, and there are contradictions. So I will give the government a genuine benefit of the doubt in this regard.
Okay, let's leave it there, gentlemen, because clearly you say as a diplomat the government deserves the benefit of the doubt. The opposition maintains that the government should have kept the nation and importantly the families informed exactly of the situation on the ground, as while Awad says humanitarian necessities should have been kept ahead of anything else at the moment. Let's leave it there. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me on the news today. My take It is sad that the tragic death of 39 Indians in Iraq killed by ISIS should become the subject today of a political tug of war. Let's be honest, how can a government inform families of the death of their near and dear ones without conclusive proof? And yet the lack of empathy once the news was confirmed is troubling. Protocol may well demand that the Minister Sushma Swaraj has to first inform Parliament before informing the families. But empathy for the dead must surely come ahead of government protocol. After all, the Prime Minister regularly breaks protocol to meet visiting heads of state at the airport when it suits him. As is the case with the army, the bereaved family should have been informed first. Do you really think our MPs who are constantly disrupting Parliament have any moral right to be kept in the loop on this human tragedy even before the families are told? Let's also be honest. There is very little the government of India could really have done in war-torn Iraq to reach the area where the hostages had been allegedly killed. We could argue about the lack of information, about the manner in which a witness was not taken seriously, but let's not make it a political slugfest. My final word. Why don't Congress leaders like Mr. Bajwa and BJP leaders like Sushma Swaraj jointly now visit each of the 39 families and not just express condolences, but ensure that they are compensated in a meaningful sense? That would be true empathy. Let's take a break. When we return, we'll turn to that big political story that's breaking in the state, which goes